This is the presentation we're going to be covering tonight. And after this, we're going to continue with الترجمة الجلية. So this consists of 13 slides. So we're going to start right away. And Muhammad, please start recording. Okay. When you start recording, just tell me that you did. Started, okay. So I want, Al-Rawḍaḥ, Skull, can you be the one reading out today? Or it's going to be Abu Aswad? Okay, Abu Aswad, can you read? Okay, can as well. What about Muhammad? Can you read? Not today, unfortunately. Okay, so I guess I'll be the one reading today. So, okay, basic knowledge. The 5 pillars of Islam, they are: number 1, the Shahada, or also called the Shahadatain, the 2 testifications of faith. Number 2, prayer, Salah, prayer. Number 3, Zakah, or Zakat. Number 4, fasting. And number 5, Hajj. And the meaning of La ilaha illallah, no one is God except Allah, is that no one has the power to create except Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. And the meaning of Muhammadur Rasulullah, Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, is that Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib al-Hashimi al-Qurashi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the slave of Allah and his messenger to all the creation. Okay. Another person is going to be joining in, and that's Saifuddin al-Maghribi. So, let's see if he joins. According to the madhab of our Imam radiyallahu anhu, both Hajj and Umrah are obligatory to perform once in a person's lifetime. So hopefully everyone here knows the 5 pillars of Islam and has memorized them by heart. Okay, so he's gonna come in a bit, and we're gonna continue with this. The 6 pillars of faith, the 6 pillars of Iman, faith, they are: number 1, belief in Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. Number 2, belief in His angels. Number 3, belief in His books. Number 4, belief in His messengers. And number 5, belief in the last day. And number 6, belief in destiny, whether good or bad. Destiny, that's al-qadar, with the fatha on the dalis. Al-qadar, not al-qadru. That's different. The 2 madhabs, schools of Sunni Aqidah, they are: number 1, the Ash'ari madhab, whose leader is Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, who died in the year 324 after Hijrah. Number 2, the Maturidi madhab, whose leader is Abu Mansur al-Maturidi, who died in the year 333 after Hijrah. The differences between both madhabs are mostly semantical, lafzi. They only have some real differences, which is why it is said that the Ash'ari is a Maturidi and vice versa. So, what do we mean by semantical? What do we mean by lafzi? What we mean is, for example, a person, he might refer to a month in English as month, right? And another person who speaks in Arabic, he might refer to a month in Arabic, shahr. So both of these terms, although there is difference in wording, they both refer to the same thing, which is month, right? So that's the kind of difference we're talking about here, semantical, lafzi. They only have some real differences, which is why it is said that the Ash'ari is a Maturidi and vice versa. The four madhabs of Sunni fiqh, they are, number one, the Hanafi madhab, whose leader is Abu Hanifa, who died in the year 150 after Hijrah. Number two, the Maliki madhab, whose leader is Malik ibn Anas, who died in the year 179 after Hijrah. And then number three, we have the Shafi'i madhab, whose leader is Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i, who died in the year 204 after Hijrah. And number four, we have the Hanbali madhab, which is the best of the four, whose leader is Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Hanbal, who died in the year 241 after Hijrah. So this is in order. The earliest is the Hanafi madhab, and the Maliki madhab came after it, and the Shafi'i madhab came after it, and the Hanbali madhab came after all of these three. Let's keep that in mind. The followers of the four madhabs and their aqa'id, Hanafis are mostly Maturidis, and the Malikis, Shafi'is, and Hanbalis are mostly Ash'aris. We are all brothers, and we do not show enmity to each other. Because we're both under the banner of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So we're Sunnis, and we're Muslim brothers. We love each other, and we do not deviate. And if you look at, the Wahhabis, modern day Wahhabis, they have many, you can say many subsects, many subgroups within them, and all of them hate each other. They're not even united. They can't even unite. They all hate each other. They all speak against each other. They all fight with each other. The 13 attributes of Allah, the mukallaf, accountable person, who is one who has hit puberty, is sane, and has received the basic message of Islam. So the mukallaf, the accountable person, he has, taklif, accountability, has three conditions. Number one, hitting puberty. Number two, sanity. And number three, receiving the basic message of Islam. So whoever meets these three conditions is considered a mukallaf, an accountable person. And what is the basic message of Islam? That is the message that La ilaha illallah, there is no God except Allah, and that Muhammadur Rasulullah, Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. That's the basic message of Islam. So the mukallaf, the accountable person, is obligated to know 13 attributes of Allah. Number one, existence, al-wujud. Number two, eternality, al-qidam. And number 3, everlastingness, al-baqa. Number 4, dissimilarity from the creation, al-mukhalafatu lil-hawadith. Number 5, independence, al-qiyamu bin-nafs. Number 6, oneness, al-wahdaniyah. Number 7, power, al-qudrah or al-quwwah. Number 8, will, al-iradah or al-mashi'ah. Number 9, knowledge, al-ilm. Number 10, life, al-hayah. Number 11, hearing, al-sam'. Number 12, sight, al-basar. And number 13, speech, al-kalam. Whoever denies any attribute from these attributes is a blasphemer. As for the one who never thought about Allah, as for the one who never thought about Allah having these 13 attributes, but he never denied or doubted about one of them, he is not a blasphemer. If he believed in the basic meaning of the Shahada and pronounced that, he is indeed a Muslim. So these 13 attributes, they're divided into 3 categories. Does anyone know of these 3 categories? If anyone does, please message in the chat box. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1. No one knows? Okay. These 13 attributes are divided into 3 categories. Number 1, as-sifatu nafsiyya, the self-attribute, which refers to the existence, al-wujud. So that's as-sifatu nafsiyya. The second category, as-sifatu salbiyya, the negating attributes. And they are, as-sifatu salbiyya, the negating attributes, they are eternality, al-qidam. They are dissimilarity from the creation, independence, and oneness. These 4 attributes, these are from as-sifatu salbiyya, the negating attributes. And the rest of these attributes everlastingness, from everlastingness, and power, will, knowledge, life, hearing, sight, and speech, these come under the 3rd category, as-sifatul ma'ani, the attributes of meanings. So those are the 3 categories of these 13 attributes. Moving on. The speech of Allah, the terms Al-Quran and speech of Allah, Kalamullah, have 2 meanings. Number 1, Allah's attribute of speech, which is eternal and uncreated like the rest of his attributes. And it is not of sounds or letters or any language. And number 2, the created, revealed expressions, which refer to Allah's attribute of speech. The created, revealed expressions are called speech of Allah, Kalamullah, because they refer to his attribute of speech. Naming things by what they refer to is normal. For example, one might see the picture of his dad and say, "This is my dad," although the picture is not his dad in reality, but a mere expression of his. If you have any questions, you can ask in the chat box. Allah exists without a place. This is the aqidah of Ahlus Sunnah. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu said, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ, nothing is whatsoever like him. Ash-Shura, verse 11. Bakbar al-Hanafi said in his commentary of Al-Tahawi, They only said the six directions do not contain him, they contain the created things. Because of the decisive texts and the definitive arguments, the texts are like the saying of the exalted, nothing is whatsoever like him. He denied any resemblance of the world to himself. In being contained in a direction, there is resemblance to bodies and atoms. In the conformation of place, there is resemblance to the atoms that have confirmed places. Describing him with directions is saying that he is confined to them. Saying that he is in a place is confirming needing the place. In all of that, there is the necessity of him being a creation and negation of his eternality. All of that is impossible for the eternal. Thus, it is obligatory to exalt him from the attributes of the creation. It is obligatory to confirm his exaltation from that of which the creation is in need, such as the ascription of place and direction. So we believe that Allah exists without a place. A dumb, a stupid Wahhabi, he might think that this means that we are saying that Allah is everywhere. That's because he is dumb, he's stupid, he doesn't understand what we're saying. And another dumb and stupid Wahhabi might think that this statement entails the negation of the existence of Allah. And that's because he's dumb and he's stupid. He thinks that for something to exist, it has to be in a place, it has to be a body. That's his misunderstanding. As for Ahlus Sunnah, we say that Allah exists unlike how we exist. We exist in places. Allah does not exist in a place. He exists without a place. He's not in need of a place. He is independent. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ عَنِ الْعَالَمِينَ. Allah is not a body, jism, atom, jawhar, or a quality, arad. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu said, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Nothing is whatsoever like him. Memorize this verse. It's very important. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Nothing is whatsoever like him. A body is what is composed of two or more atoms, and the atom is the indivisible part. So when we say the atom, is the indivisible part, we don't mean, when we say atom, we don't mean what the scientists or physicists mean when they say atom. When they say atom, they mean something which is composed of a nucleus consisting of protons and neutrons, and that has shells around it with revolving electrons. That's not what we mean. What we mean is the part that cannot be split, the indivisible part, the part that cannot be split. And this is also called al-jawhar al-fard. Let's keep that in mind. And the quality is the created attribute, like motion, stillness, smoothness, roughness, etc. If these qualities go away, this does not necessitate that the self that has them will go away. So, okay. I'm gonna explain this a bit more for Abu al-Aswad. So, Allah exists without a place. When we say this, we are exalting Allah from being contained by the six directions. The 6 directions meaning up, below, front, backward, right, left. These 6 directions, they do not contain Allah. Al-Imam al-Tahawi rahimahullah said, لا تحويه الجهات الست كسائر المبتدعات. The 6 directions do not contain Allah. They contain the creation. So when we say Allah exists without a place, know that we are saying something which is contrary to what the Jahmiyyah, the Jahmis believed, and what the Mujassimah believe. The Jahmiyyah, they used to say that Allah is in every place, that He is everywhere. We don't believe that. We believe that He exists without a place. And the Mujassimah believe that Allah is confined to a particular location. Many of the Mujassimah who claim to be Muslims, they believe that Allah is in a place above the throne, or that He sits on the throne. We believe that places are creations of Allah. Places and directions are creations of Allah. The throne is a creation of Allah. Allah is not in need of His creation. So we say Allah exists without a place. He is not in need of a place. He exists without a place. He is Al-Ghani. He is the independent. He's not in need of any of His creation. The 3 mental judgments. They are the necessary, the impossible, the possible. The necessary is whose non-existence cannot be conceived by the mind, and the impossible is whose existence cannot be conceived by the mind, and the possible is whose existence and non-existence can be conceived by the mind. So these are the 3 mental judgments, or you can say the 3 intellectual judgments. And if you have any question, remember you can ask in the chat box. Who is the real Sufi? Al-Imam al-Junayd al-Baghdadi al-Ḥanbali radiyallahu anhu, he said, we did not take Sufism from mere talk and hearsay, but rather from hunger, renouncing the world and abandoning familiar habits and desirable things. For Sufism is the purity of dealings with Allah, صفاء المعاملة مع الله, and its foundation is detachment from the world. As Haritha said, myself has turned away from the world, so I have spent my nights sleepless and my days thirsty. And this is the last slide. Important things. Stick to the madhab of Al-Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal radiyallahu anhu in fiqh, and the madhab of Al-Imam Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu in aqidah. Teach the madhab of Al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal radiyallahu anhu. Know and memorize the saying of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إن أمتي لا تجتمع على ضلالة فإذا رأيتم اختلافا فعليكم بالسواد الأعظم. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, what means, indeed my nation does not gather upon misguidance. So if you see dissent, then adhere to the vast majority. That's Ahlul Sunnah. Allah Ta'ala said, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. He said, and hold fast to the habl of Allah altogether and do not be divided. So in this ayah, what does habl mean? What does bihablillah mean? Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu was a companion of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. He explained bihablillah to be referring to the jama'ah, the main body of the Muslims, the jama'ah, Ahlul Sunnah والجماعة. So Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they're the vast majority, and they're upon what the Prophet ﷺ and his companions were upon. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, describing the Jama'ah, ما أنا عليه وأصحابي, which means what I am upon and what my companions are upon. So Ahlus Sunnah, they're the vast majority of the Muslims, and they're upon what the Prophet ﷺ was upon and what his companions Ridwanullahi alayhim were upon. Spread and teach the correct aqidah, the aqidah of Ahlus Sunnah. Warn against the misguided people like the Wahhabiyyah. Eat lawful food and earn lawful wealth. Fulfill your obligations, perform the recommended things, and avoid what is prohibited. وسبحان الله وبحمده.